Hello, everyone. My name is Bowie Perry. This is the 32nd episode of BPerryFilms Podcast. We'll be talking about building genuine relationships and how they can be built throughout your day. Relationship building started at the age of birth and was taught by generation after generation of family and people around them. Today's guest is one of my clients, Rick Hughes from Peace Entertainment, Inc. He is a videographer and digital marketer who uses his passion for videography to help small businesses advertise their products by using video to build their audience and clientele. He attended school at Howard University for communication and later attended school at Bowie University for broadcast journalism. He worked with many companies such as BET, Channel 8 News, Discovery Channel, and even National Geographic. Lastly, I would like to mention he has experience working in the music industry. So I'll take this moment right now to let Rick introduce himself and get to know a little bit about himself.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Yes, I'm welcome everybody who's listening, and I'm honored to be on this show. And I love and follow Bobby all the time. Great content and great courses and classes and great education. We all should follow each other, and we should all share each other's content. We can learn a great deal from each other. In terms of myself, I don't like talking about myself too much, but in terms of myself, I got into the industry through hip hop. I had a love and a passion for hip hop music. Growing up as an artist, I attended the Howard University hip hop conferences and, getting out there, asking everyone to please listen to my demo. And, always had aspirations of being an entrepreneur. So in the beginning, Peace Entertainment, Inc. was a record label / video production company. And eventually we just dropped the record label aspirations and went into doing video production. Most part, we will always remain the independent video producer of producing video content. And now what we see is a lot of marketers, a lot of YouTube influencers, a lot of technology jumping and stepping into our lane. And in some cases, kind of pushing the original, OGs of video production out. And it's just became a thing being about video and less about production. Most part, we will always remain the independent video producer of producing video content. And now what we see is a lot of marketers, a lot of YouTube influencers, a lot of technology jumping and stepping into our lane. And in some cases, kind of pushing the original, OGs of video production out. And it's just became a thing being about video and less about production. So I'm trying to bring back the human element of production to video, where it's truly video production, and also let these marketers know that we were the original ones to create the marketing videos for marketing departments and stuff like that. So just letting the truth be told and being an advocate for all the independent video producers out there who actually do the work for a lot of these YouTube influencers and marketers and stuff like that.
Definitely, I agree. Everyone knows by now, who's been following me since day one, knows that I have a performing arts background in dance. And it's just amazing how music can bring people together. And it's a universal style where everybody understands. We might not speak the same language, but we understand instrument, we understand love, we understand passion, integrity, and all those different elements that make a song, and a video,
Right.
It's that personal connection that we get to have with each other.
Yeah, I always had a development for the arts because, it's not just something that, a lot of people do have the natural talent, but some people don't necessarily grow up or with the natural talent. They have to develop it. But even those who do have the natural talent, such as Beyonce or whatever, they work hard, right? They train on their ambitions. They invest in their ambitions, right? They educate themselves, right, on their ambitions, on their goals, and this is how they achieve their goals. And also, no one's an island, right? So working with someone like Bobby or myself or whatever, you can't do this alone. I haven't done it alone. I never do it alone. And whether they're part of your team, part of your company, employees, contractors, tutorers, mentors, whatever, You just have to, educate yourself and take, effort and investment towards your ambitions.
Definitely. So, as everybody knows, when I start out any of these podcast episodes, I like to give out some vocabulary. So let's talk about what is a relationship.
What is a relationship? Okay. To me, a relationship is the personal connection, but also it could be a business connection, right? It's something where individuals have something in common and they can relate that to each other, right?
Mhm.
So, you and I, both have courses and classes or online programs of some sort, right? Membership or what have you, subscription-based business model, right? And you and I found a common ground in order to relate and network with each other, right? So therefore, you have certain attributes that enhance me and my business, and I may have certain attributes to enhance you and your business, and therefore developing a relationship and building off of that foundation, right? And then there's also the notion of, whether it's personal or business, love don't pay the bills, right? So it's
Mhm.
two or more people working together towards achieving a common goal that they share, right? And it develops either a great friendship or some sort of bond, whether business or personal.
Definitely. And just to give people some context of how we met, he had posted a post in his chat in this membership group that we're a part of. And he was asking if there were any guys in the group because it was dominated by females. And I saw someone reply saying that there's a few of us, but kind of quiet. So I saw the person reply and I was like, okay, let me try to reach out to him and see what he does. And you were telling me about how you have a membership and how you have this film production company that you help out with your clients, but you were struggling with growing your platform. I think it was Facebook. And initially, you were like, I had to ask you, did you want more of a person who's going to do it for you or teach you the process? Initially, you said you want to just hire someone. And I'm like, let me tell you what it was going to cost if you do it this way versus doing it yourself. I recommended that he look into it. So I told him that most people who sign up for a social media marketer charge maybe about $2,000, if not more, per month, versus me teaching him for whatever the price was and currently is right now, because he's still a client of mine, where I can teach you like the back end of how everything works and migrate through the system. At first, he did not trust the process, and I'm like, stop asking so many questions, just trust it and just believe in yourself. You're not going to get change overnight, but it's a real process of growing and learning through trial and error. And a lot of these platforms are competing against each other. Like if you post a video on Facebook, that's not from Facebook. They're not going to suggest it because that's not the native platform. It's kind of like when you're using Instagram or TikTok and trying to implement them both ways. And your reach isn't going to go there because, like I said, they're all competing against each other and they have different software. And you also have to be mindful of like copyright laws and all the things that go along with it. And then after a few months went by, I saw his numbers starting going up. And he reached out to me. He's like, see what happened? I said, I told you, I believed in you since day one. You just had to trust within yourself, be consistent, check out your analytics, ask people what they want, and just provide them that information. And it saved you thousands of dollars in the long run.
Definitely, definitely you have to humble yourself in a lot of situations. Social media is vast, SEO is vast, digital marketing is a vast thing that everybody wants to get into and jump into, or what have you, right? Sometimes you have to put on those brakes, check yourself, and say, hey, look, this is not working, that's not working. Reach out for help or whatever. And everybody does. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted. Gary Vaynerchuk reaches out for help, right? You know what I mean? A lot of other video podcasters who had him on their show, they reached out to him for help, right? So I did the same, you know what I mean? So, and then it just developed into a relationship where we can now help each other. So it's each one teach one, it's each one help one. And that goes back to just that relationship building or what have you. So, by working with Bobby, I was able to navigate those areas that he just mentioned and turn things around, and you got to put in the work, you got to do your homework. Now, some of the work you can do, some of the work you can farm out if you're in a position to do that. But if you're not quite in a position to do that, then you have to put in the initial foundation of work yourself. You know what I mean? I'm a firm believer of put that work in first, and then, and get help, because you can't wear all the hats of your business. Just like aside from digital marketing, you might need someone to do your taxes. You know what I mean? Yes, know about taxes, learn how to do taxes yourself, know what it is to do taxes, put that homework in. But eventually you might need a CPA or someone who's an extension of that, bookkeeper or something like that, or even go to H&R Block, whatever, to do your taxes. It's funny I mentioned that it's tax time too, right? So, that is something that you definitely have to do. So you got to find value in seeking help and putting the work in, and then growing from there.
I like how you mentioned that you have to be a student first. Everybody started from day one. Everybody started out crying. Everybody learned the first word. Everyone learned how to walk eventually. Well, people that are able to anyways. Let's keep in mind that some people are disabled. But there are workarounds. There's other alternatives. Just because we don't go the same avenue going forward doesn't mean that we can't branch off. And connections don't always necessarily have to be in the workplace. They can be at certain gatherings. It could be with your family. It could be with your friends. It can be in college. All these different experiences. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand how effective communication can be. Like the littlest words in your delivery can make a difference. I know a lot of people feel that I'm too hard on them, but I'm like, I have to be firm. Otherwise, you're not going to listen. If I'm going to, it's like someone touching fire. Are you going to let them burn their hand, or are you going to tell them don't do it? They don't listen, they burn their hand. Did I stop? Did it stop them from doing it again? Probably, yeah, because it hurts so bad. But if you don't educate people and let them know that this is dangerous, they're going to continue doing it. And you don't want to add fuel to the fire, you know? And like I said, relationships are very important. And I feel like we're in an age where everything is digitalized. Everybody has to put on this persona of, let me be authentic. And people think authentic means you have to be nice all the time. But authentic means you are being present in that moment and you're showing your real passion and emotion. You can be angry sometimes. You can be crying sometimes. You could be happy. You can be sad. All these different emotions that occur. And don't feel like you have to be ashamed of that or hide that back, because people need to get to know you. Like when we started, I know you have a YouTube channel and you have a Facebook channel and you do podcasting. When you did that first video, whether it's welcome to my channel or just like a little tour of what you do, you're nervous. You have a lot of anxiety. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what people are going to react. All that hesitation. And you can't see your analytics until after 48 hours, which is kind of like a con, but it pressures you just to trust it. And you realize that these people really do relate with you. They can see you're passionate about doing what you have to do. Maybe you don't have the best lighting. Maybe you don't have the best sound. Maybe you don't have the best gear. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars just to start your first video. But over time, you improve, your confidence improves, your process improves. Like, people don't realize how involved I am with my projects. Like, I'm script writing, people doing intake forms, I'm screening their websites, their social media, and I'm creating the content, editing, thumbnails, all this stuff I'm doing on my own. And I have 9 different services, and doing it on my own and realizing that I need to hire someone. And I'm grateful for my assistant who was in my last video, who's been a great attribute and is very passionate about growing and taking on different challenges. He started out saying, I've never been on camera before. And I'm like, well, you're working for a video company. You're going to be on camera all the time.
Yeah, that was a good one to watch. I like watching that one. That was a good one.
It was his first time on camera. And it was just monumental to see how he started a month ago and how he has transformed and is doing his due diligence, learning how to cite sources, how to put concepts together. And just watching him through this process, and now he's inspired to start his own YouTube channel. People are watching.
Yeah, I think that it's a good thing where people have to understand that it's a process, and processes take time. The only way to speed up that process is to do the work, and like you was talking about, if I was to sum it up in one word, the accountability, right? You have to be accountable and also humble. Most people who spent longevity in this industry or any industry, longevity wise, had to humble themselves, right? Because there's always someone doing better than you or better off than you or knows something more than you, right? So you meet those people, you work with those people, you want to aspire to get on the same level as some of those people or whatever. But, those people have done behind the scenes. So I say, look at behind the scenes of these people, and put in the work that way, not just, excuse me, not just, in the foreground, what you see in the foreground, right? But, you know, get to understand and get to know that individual that you aspire or that motivates you or what have you. And then just hit the ground running. But you have to humble yourself, and you have to, work from ground zero to get where you need to be. It's kind of like that funny saying, someone who started at McDonald's, they didn't start on fries in a sense, you know what I mean? They might have started mopping the floor before they got the fries. And you might not see fries as, upward mobility, but nonetheless, you have to go from one stage to the next. People that want to skip steps and skip stages or whatever, it's not advisable. I don't think Bobby would advise it either. You got to go through the motions and do what it takes. So when I met Bobby, he was like, hey, you can't, you can't commit to a workaround all the time. You have to commit to, going straight forward with these steps. And once you follow these steps, and not skips a few steps, you'll see the changes that you'll see. And I definitely did, you know what I mean? So when I humbled myself and went through the motions, the process of 1, 2, 3, 4, follow those steps in order, and sometimes you have to use your own approach, but still follow the steps, because what may works for you might work different for someone else. So that way you might have to find your own rhythm. If you work 9 to 5, you might have to do something from 7 to 9. You know what I mean? Not everybody can do stuff from 9 to 5 because some people have regular jobs, some people doing it as a side hustle, but if you are doing it full time, then you have to just do that full time, because eventually it is a full-time job, and eventually you're going to have to commit to doing it full time.
Definitely. And I'm a full-time creator. I don't think people realize I spend maybe like 60 hours a week, or if I have a launch, I probably might only have, I probably won't take a break for like almost 2 months. Working every day and working with different freelancers, getting into concepts together. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of stuff on my own, and I have the course now and the membership. So understanding where are the boundaries. I think a lot of people don't understand boundaries, and people need to trust your process of, you got to pay for help. You have to give me time to do something else. Can we communicate another day, or, schedule some time to hang out or do something like that? Is prioritizing. And I know a lot of people feel that once you start your business or some sort, they think you're invincible. You have all access to all these resources. Nothing's going to tear you apart. Nothing's a challenge. They think you have it easy. But until they're in your shoes, walking through that business plan, walking through getting your business registered, thinking about trademarking, copywriting, patents, and all the legal stuff that you need to protect your work, people don't truly understand what you're going through. So there's the disconnect.
Yeah, I mean, you can use the analogy of, like you said, you were dancing, right? You could use that analogy of how many hours you put in, you know what I mean? And how many hours of practice, how many hours of rehearsal, right? Not knowing the difference between practice and rehearsal, right? And knowing what techniques you had to use and what effort you had to use to make the cut. Because you can put in that practice and you can, get that rehearsal time, you know what I mean? But then if you have an audition or you're trying to, get in a certain gig, right? you might have to say, oh, wow, I didn't get this gig, but I learned something from it. You know what I mean? So I can get the next gig. You know what I mean? So expectations of your clients and expectations of yourself, you have to have those and you have to develop those, right? And in terms of boundaries, I try to deal with office hours, right? You know, because going back to relationships, right? From being married or whatever, I remember, my wife coming to me and telling me, hey, look, you got to have office hours, whether you produce a client or not, you got to cut it off at some point, right? And be domestic, right? So I had to learn that because, I would come in the house, stand at the foyer, right? After doing half a day's work, and then say hi at the foyer and run downstairs and get working again, right? I didn't cut it off. I did, 10 to 12 hours a day, right? And I had newborns, right, at the time, right? My wife ran a daycare at the time. So daycare never ended for her, right? Because part of our child was part of the daycare, right? So I needed to relieve her, right, from that daycare, so we have to take our bumps and bruises, learn from them quickly and get back up and understand those boundaries, because when you're in a relationship, you have to work out those time management tools and use those tools and learn from others in terms of, getting bumped up against the head. Because like I said, my wife said, hey, look, you need to have office hours, cut it off at some point. What those office hours are up to me, up to you. But you need to have those. Sometimes I don't even work with people if they don't have office hours. Sometimes they're like everywhere. Like,
How do you feel like has helped you now that you have office hours?
very much so, because like I have to dial in. I have to focus on dial in. Like, check your social media at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, and then do everything else in between, right? Things like, writing down a to-do list before the day ends. To-do list is for the next day, right? Or you can say, hey, look, my office hours are from 9 to 5. You get up 8 in the morning, you do your to-do list, right, for that day, right? And then you start attacking it. And then you'll learn, like I said, it's a process. You'll learn, bumping your head process, like I talked about. You'll learn that, oh, I got too much on my to-do list, right? Majority of times people can get 3 things done in a day. Why? Because stuff always comes up. Someone's going to call you, whether it's a relative, whether it's business, whether it's troubleshooting or spending the time on the phone with Verizon, right? Because like they didn't get it right, or your editing system ain't working today, right? Things come up. So 3 things I put on my to-do list that I have to get finished. And if one carries over, that's fine. But 5 or more, forget about it. It always takes longer to do something than what you think it's going to take.
Yeah, that's true. I know for me, I know you experience it too, and other people. People start itching for answers. They're like, oh, I just need a question with this. Then it leads to more questions, and that itch just keeps going and going, and can kind of make you feel dirty. And you just be like, I have office hours. Check on my website, www.BPerryFilms.com. Go to book a session, schedule a discovery call or a coaching call or website audit, and we can talk there. It'll give me an opportunity for you to write out your thoughts, because there's an intake form. You're familiar with it. And then I go through the process and then figure out what's the root behind it. After we have the discovery call of what's going on, let me figure out how many sessions this is going to take, break it down. I'll reach back out to you. You schedule a meeting, and we start walking through little baby steps. Because if you give everything all at once, they're not going to understand and feel overwhelmed. But if you treat everything module through module, kind of like a course, people will better understand and appreciate the tools that they're being offered. You just want to delegate through certain steps, because you don't want them to solely depend on you for everything. I want them to learn from their mistakes, because what may work for me, what may work for Rick, may not work for everyone, because we all have different experiences. We all went to different schools. We have similar education. we could be in the same industry, but our market could be completely different, you know?
Yeah. And here's going back to accountability, right? Here's and firmness, right, that you talked about, right? That is so true. Because here's the thing. If you don't want to learn now, oh, you're gonna learn. My father would have me learn the hard way. My mother would try to coach me along the way, right? So I got the best of both worlds, right? So some things you're gonna learn the hard way. It's like, oh, I should have listened to Bobby. Like, oh, I get it now. I had a client tell me that, right? Like, I should have listened to you in Sydney. You know what I mean? Right? Of course, this might have been a year later, right? Because he kept doing his website over again. You know what I mean? Kept doing um some of his videos. I would do it over again, right? Because he would get the actors, right?
Mhm.
Like, I can't be accountable. You know what I mean? For that. And then we would do the productions. He wouldn't be in the room. Like, no, you gotta be here. Like, he was trying to work his office hours, like, while we were doing his video. It's like, you have to be in the moment, right? You can't run off. We're shooting your video, right? So, you have to, yeah, be a CEO, handle your business, but that time management is crucial. If you know you're shooting a video, right, and you're investing in that video, right, if you can't be there, plan it out. Plan it out. If you don't know how to plan it out, humble yourself and plan it out with, the contractor that you're working with, right? But, you got to plan, because what ends up happening is we look at this totality of what we're talking about now, what we've been talking about: boundaries, relationships, time management, accountability, and all the
Accountability.
stuff we've been
Yeah.
talking about, right? If you look at that, right, there's this saying that my mother has, and I love it, and I use it. I don't say it to a client, right? But I practice it. And then she says that lack of planning by you does not make an emergency for me, because, like you said, those questions, those itchy questions or whatever, you know what I mean? Basically, you should come to a job interview. You should have questions ready before you come to a job interview. It's not just them asking you questions. You should have questions prepared for them, right? You don't go
Mhm.
to a job interview and they have to keep asking you, do you have any more questions? Do you have any more questions? And you sit there thinking of another question. You know what I mean? They'll respect you if you have your questions written down in advance, that you came to the consultation prepared, right? Now, in essence, we should prepare you too. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, a lot of people don't know everything. A lot of people don't know how to do job interviews, right? So those are the type of clients, some of the type of clients I know we have. You and me, we have clients who don't know certain things. So we have to educate our clients, because the educated client is the best client to have, right? So that's why, I have my membership, and you have your subscription-based business models, because we want those educated clients, right? And we want to learn something from them too. As we go through this, don't get it twisted. We learn from our members and clients as well on how to make things better. That's why they do polls. That's why we do surveys, right? To get that feedback, because that's an avenue for us to learn as well and to do better as well. But there's one more notion that I would think of. Someone told me that, you can't do business if you don't know business. You can start off like Russell Simmons and have these power moves and have these great ideas and have all the talent and produce and get all the talent in the world. But eventually Russell had to learn business, right? Right. And that is the processes like you talked about, the onboarding process, right? Of going through your website, filling out the application, committing to Calendarly, you know what I mean? Saying, when is this person available? When am I available? Um, Knowing the best way to reach someone, or knowing the best way to be reached. You know, do you talk or communicate better on social media or the cell phone or text? What's the best way of communicating for you, or for your client, or for your member? But
And
you have to, right.
I was going to say, communication is a two-way street. I came with a quote this year. It's manifestation It's a thought or idea, and then implementation is taking action.
Right.
I had a conversation with someone off of Clubhouse, and yes, there's a lot of scammers on there telling you that they make all these thousands of dollars, try to bash you, say this is the reason why you're poor because you're not investing in this, investing in that. And I'm like, that's not how you communicate with people. And the person I was talking to started a radio station, and I was telling him the importance of taking courses. And I mentioned to him my course, Creating an Effective Business Plan, where I can walk him through the fundamentals of starting his business and get a better grasp of what he's trying to do. Because without the business plan, you won't further understand. He knocked that out because he felt like he was an expert. So I mentioned to him, YouTubers create, because he's starting a YouTube channel. I think he has one, but he's not consistent with it. So I mentioned to him that there's 4 phases. There's the amateur. When you're first starting out, you have no idea what you want to do. There's going with the flow, meaning like you're just testing out the water. You're not consistent, but you're posting as you go. And sometimes people post too much because they feel like they have to get all their ideas out. But that leads you to burnout. And then you have the next stage, which is consistent. You have certain days that you post, you have days that you edit, and you're starting to move up the ladder and you're starting to get a following. And then there's a pro. And no, you do not need 1 million followers or 100,000 subscribers to be a pro. But this is where you have mastered your craft and you're making money. This is turning into a business, not just a hobby. And you're growing your audience in a way that they feel connected with you. You have strong engagement. And this is what we're all striving to be. You can still be a consistent person and be at 1 million followers. You can be an amateur and have 1 million followers because you blew up so fast and you don't know how to repeat it. You just don't know when you're going to blow up. So I tried to explain it to him, and he was like, oh, you think I'm an amateur? I'm like, no one said that. I said that there's different phases that we go through. He got defensive, and I was like, I'm just going to listen because you're not retaining what I'm telling you. But because you're not listening, you're going to make more errors. And this is a new radio station that you just started. You're competing against people that have been in this field for decades. Like, look at Columbia Records. They have Beyonce, they have Prince, they had BTS, they have, Michael Jackson, all these different artists. How did they get all these people? They have people that are consistently practicing all the time. Like, just think right now, Beyonce's getting ready for a tour. Is she at home eating a salad or whatever and just watching TV all the time? No, she's up in rehearsal. She's eating healthy. She's getting her body toned. She's working on her vocals. She's working on her choreography. Same thing with Lizzo. People shame her because of her size, but she's in that rehearsal space for 10 hours a day, if not 12 hours. We need to stop judging people based off their size and just focus on their talent, what they have to bring to the table. Look at how they're inspiring people to be greater than what they thought they could be. They have insecurities too, but they just balance it well.
Yeah, and, and a lot of people don't know that, they look at where they are and not where they come from, right? But if you look at the struggle, right? I mean, if you look at Jay-Z, right? If you look at a lot of artists who came from the projects, right? A lot of rap artists did. A lot of artists did, period. And if you just look at the ambition and the struggle, right? They had to go through, right? And money didn't solve a lot of those struggles, trust me, right? Money does not solve all the troubles because there's gatekeepers, right? You can throw a bunch of money, all your money at ads, right? That doesn't mean it's going to be successful. You might have a lot of money to throw at ads. That doesn't mean it's going to be successful. Why? Because they're gatekeepers. They control, at the end of the day, Google, Facebook, Instagram, right? They control your reach, right? Not you. So with knowing that, right, everybody's comes out with these different strategies of how to get around it, hacks, all these tips, things like that. But the thing of it is, at the end of the day, you have to have duplicity in a sense. You have to divide your campaign, right? You have to, people say traditional marketing is dead. how can relating to someone face to face be dead? Quite honestly, that's what traditional marketing was in a sense, right? Guerrilla marketing, right, was the same thing as organic marketing and social media. Guerrilla marketing was, word of mouth, referral-based marketing, network marketing, going out to events and functions and dealing with the people, trade shows, right? All this stuff was putting stuff in people's hands, business cards or brochures, whatever. You're putting something in someone's hand as opposed to, just posting something, right? Hoping that someone sees it. And if they see it, they might act on it. But they're seeing tons and tons of people every single day. So you have to have traditional marketing and you have to have online marketing and social media marketing. You have to have, both of those work together because you have to get out there amongst the people, right? And that is something that people try not to do. You just can't stay behind your computer all day, every day. Majority of my sales that came from trade shows because I performed well when I'm in front of a person, right? So now how do you duplicate that effort, right? You do a video of yourself and you put it out there in front of people, right? But it still hasn't changed. COVID is downsized in a sense where you can go out now and do more things. There's events and functions popping up everywhere. You need to be at those places where the people are, right? And need to relate to those people, And the reason why I'm saying all this is because there is no one hat that fits all, right? There is no one hat that fits all. And, when people try to say that this whole thing of traditional marketing is dead, they haven't been on this planet long enough to know that if you do traditional marketing by itself is dead. So a lot of people say things, but they don't complete their thought or they don't complete their sentences or it's half-cocked, right? I call it a half-cocked idea because, it's like true lies. You're giving me half the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the full truth is that the bigger companies, they have never let go of traditional marketing. If radio ads were dead, you wouldn't be hearing them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Super Bowl.
Nothing but ads.
They played ads during the Super Bowl. So if doing commercials during the Super Bowl, playing $1 billion for a Super Bowl ad, if that was dead, do you think they would be spending that much money on a commercial? I mean, let's be real. People say things because they want you to move in their direction. Whereas Bobby and I say things because we want you to move in a successful direction. You know what I mean? Whether you go with us or not, right? If you benefited from something we said here today, something that has been said, then good. We'll meet you at the millionaire's table. So you might not do business with us, but in the future you might.
That's true. And what am I about people like Alvin Ailey? It's like he figured out a gap. He realized that in order for him to perform on stage and create change within the industry, is that he had to put himself first. And that inspired artists like myself. Like while everyone in school were focused on relationships and miscellaneous activities, I was always in rehearsal. We have lunch. I'm probably in the dance studio. I'm not in class, probably in the dance studio. If I'm not in a meeting, probably in a dance studio. I also have a background in martial arts, and it teaches you about discipline, being consistent, loving what you love, and showing people your artistry of talent. And when I'm working with all these different dancers, I remind them that everyone's replaceable just the same way that I am. And we are accountable for each other's action. You show up late, we're all late. Someone's not doing well, we're all doing bad. We need to be all synchronized. And this is the type of routine that we need to cohesively work together. Like, see how Rick is present in this moment and having this conversation with me. I'm present with him as well. And making sure that I'm understanding everything that he's saying. I'm reflecting on what he has mentioned. And it shows that he has great communication skills and he has great passion
Thank you.
educating you guys on what's going to happen with you in the future. If we don't change our habits of we got to bash someone to get ahead, we got to do this, move this way, we can't trust no one, tell each other's lies, and it does you no justice. It takes more effort to belittle people than it is to collaborate. I want you guys to really think about that. Collaboration is much easier than you think, but trust takes time. Educate yourself on different people's platforms. If you don't know something about someone, ask. See if they have a website. I know the social media stuff, like I always tell people, I don't care so much about the following because that's all relative. There's a room on Clubhouse called Boost Your Platform where they just mention for like 30 seconds of what they do, and they have hundreds of people in the room just subscribing to that person's content on probably Instagram or TikTok and stuff. And then when you're looking at the engagement of they have 10,000 followers, but they only have 20 likes, that shows you that people aren't really interested in the work. So keep that in mind. I think a website tells you 1,000 words, kind of like a video. It shows how committed you are. It tells the story of what you have to offer. And it educates people on the pain points that they may have. And pain points are subjective. Not everyone has the same struggle as this person. Not everybody has the same expertise as each other. Not everybody has access to the same resources as each other. So like I said, pain points are relative depending on the person. So you don't want to feel like you have to fix and save the world, but have a clear idea of who your target audience is, which we call personas in business.
Yeah, just like when you went through those dance rehearsals, or martial arts, you experienced that pain. You have to go through the pain. You know what I mean? I'm getting over a cold right now, right? And I said, hey, look, Bobby, I want to do this. I'm still able to do it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to bow out. So I'm getting over a cold. You know what I mean? I'm pushing through, my cold, right, to be successful. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, being on this show will make me, successful, and it will benefit others, as well as benefit myself. And that's the thing is that you can't just worry about benefiting yourself. You have to worry about benefiting others or whatever. But you have to go through the pain. You have to go through those, those pain points and learn from those pain points. But you're going to go through some pain. You can't exercise and it not hurt, right? If it doesn't hurt, right? If there's no resistance, right? Then you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? If there's no pushback, right? If there's no pushback and no feedback, you know what I mean? You're not going to do anything. You're not achieving anything, right? If everything is easy, then everybody would be doing it, But the flip side of that is everybody's trying to do it because they think it's easy. And that is, the misconception, right? If you think what Beyonce does is easy, right? So you're like, wow, her tickets are so much or whatever. But how much does she go through to give you? How much, think about what I'm saying. How much does she go through? How much pain and effort does she go through to give you what you are looking for, right? Now, if you go to her concert and she's just standing there singing songs that you know and not performing, then yeah, you'll be pissed off, right? But trust me, she's going to give you, ticket money worth, whatever you pay for your ticket, she's going to give you that, you know what I mean? That value.
Whether you think it's worth the price or not, just to clarify for people, just keep in mind that the artists get paid last. There's the engineers, the songwriters, the choreographers, that design. There's a lot of things that factor in price and probably the merchants that they're selling on.
Right. So, I mean, that's part of what she goes through. I mean, now, she's not really bound to any record label. So she pays for her concert, right? The artists invest in their concert, right? So she pays for those props up front, right? She pays for the stage managers and all those things, those background props and everything that they put up, those visuals, the audio visual effects or whatever that they put up, lights, cage, camera, action, all that stuff. Excuse me. She pays, right? So she's invested before she even gives anything or takes anything. Like you said, she gets it at the end of the show. You know, certain concert promoters might give her half, right? But she's going to collect the rest when she's done. You know what I mean? And if they did pay up front, you know, if that's a significant deal, you know, then she's guaranteed that she has to be there. A lot of
Mhm.
artists that perform sick. A lot of
Yeah,
artists
because you don't
perform
get that
sick.
invoice for not showing up. Let's tell people about that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You know, there's a backlash on that. You don't show up. Oh yeah, you're in trouble. So don't act like she can't get in trouble. You know what I mean? So we all can.
Definitely. Yeah, I think the whole moral of this conversation was to get people to understand that we're human too. We started just like the same way that these people are watching this video, and hopefully everyone's sharing this. Because, positive videos like this don't really make it that far, especially as Black creators. But for people who are Black or allies of the Black community, I want you guys to take note of everything that we had spoken about and implement change in your life. Take accountability, write things down. And I used to say this every single episode of my podcast. When you get that pen and paper and that connection gives you feedback, helps you achieve that goal because you took that idea and wrote it down, and writing it down in your calendar gives you that accountability of this is the deadline that I have to complete this. You don't need a goal every single day. You can do monthly goals and work baby steps. You can do quarterly goals, like in 12-week year, and break them down into little steps. And then you have a big goal for the whole year. That might take you a long process, but just because you didn't achieve it at the end of the year doesn't mean that you can't achieve it next year. We talk about resolutions and how by now everyone's stopping going to the gym. People are dropping out of school, probably. People have a lot of finances that they're going through, issues, and you got to deal with it. You can't run away from your problems. Like I said, it just spills more fuel to that fire and you're just burning your hand. So really take this moment and really appreciate everything that we just spoke about. And I challenge you to take action right now. Subscribe to this channel or even sign up for my course, Creating an Effective Business Plan, while I'm walking you through the steps of creating that business plan, and we're learning CEO essential skills that will help you persevere through your challenges. And if that's too much for you, you can sign up for my membership called YouTubers Create, where I help people market their brand using video on platforms such as YouTube. And these skills can be applied on other platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook video, and other platforms that are out there. Seems like every day there's a new platform.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, don't get it twisted that Bobby has his own platform. So whether, you know, anything comes out in the future, right? You know, Bobby will be on it. You know what I mean? So the platform is Bobby's as long as, you know, he has the content and the wherewithal to give you and do things for you because that's what he's doing. I mean, he's doing things for you, right? You have to decide to invest in yourself, to invest in a movement, to move forward because you can't move forward by yourself, right? So when you need help, ask, humble, move forward, you know, and get the help that you need. Ask the questions that you need answers to. Google search will not always be the place for that, right? Ask a professional near you. You know what I mean?
And
Um,
invest in books. So let's say that as well.
oh yeah, books are not dead. You know, I think that the devil is in the details, right? But also the angel is in the details too, right? You want to read for both. You want to read the small print, right? And that's what you'll get in a book, right? Because words manifest action, but you have to know what words, right, to read and what words to use in order to manifest that action. So one mantra for me is that actually is one pillar of faith for me actually is that if you are having a struggle or you're having a problem, right, take action towards it. right? That's the strongest of faith. Take action towards it. If you can't take action towards it, speak out against it or write against it with words and text and verbal, right? If you can't do that, then hate it in your heart or work with it within your heart. But keep in mind, you have to do all three, right? Notice that I mentioned your heart, your tongue, your mouth, and your limbs, right? So that means your heart, right? How you feel about it, right? It's manifested through your mouth and words and text, right? And then take action, work through it through your limbs, right? So this is something that we all have to do. Starting with the heart is the hate it in your heart or do it within your heart is the weakest of faith, but also manifest it and speak it out through your tongue, which is the second level of faith. And then the strongest level is to take action, right? So do all three of these things, but know that taking action is the strongest of all these.
Definitely. This was great. I'm glad to have you on this podcast, and I can't wait to see how you grow and people hearing your word and getting your message out. I think people will find a lot of value from you and what you have to offer. Would you like to share any of your social media links?
Yes. The easiest way to do this is, Peace Entertainment Media. Google search Peace Entertainment Media, and you'll find our Instagram, our Facebook, our LinkedIn page, right? Our Google profile, right? Google My Business is switched over to kind of Google Maps or whatever. Whatever you need to know about us, you can type in Peace Entertainment Media in Google search, and everything's there from the content to the channels to whatever you want to know about us. You'll be able to find that there. And again, we'll be pushing Bobby and his platform. And also, we welcome you to our Facebook group. We invite you there. You'll see Bobby's stuff there. You'll see restaurants of choice, right? If it's local, regional, or national, you'll see stuff there for you. And we welcome you to come to town. I'd like to visit Bobby one day, get out that side of town. And hopefully, you can get on this side of town. And I'll introduce you to some people and hopefully vice versa. And that's what it's about. It's about sharing each other's stuff and working with each other and growing together. You can't be an island to yourself. So reach out to Bobby, reach out to me, and just reach out whoever you can.
Definitely. And you can find me on my website, BPerryFilms.com. On a search bar, look for it, one and only. I'm also on YouTube, Clubhouse, coming back to TikTok and Instagram at BPerryFilms, and where you can connect with me. And if you sign up for my newsletter, you could be finding out more information about my blog and what's new events, and even get promotional offers on services and webinars by subscribing. So I want to take this moment and say thank you, Rick, for being a part of this project, and we'll close out.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here and to be a guest of yours, and I appreciate it. B. Perry Films forever.
Same thing. Peace Entertainment Inc.